Welcome back to Carneades.org. Today we're going to be continuing with dumbfounding definitions, dizzying distinctions, and diabolical doctrines. Our series sorting through some of the jargon of philosophy. In this video, we are going to be answering the question, what is nominalism? And we're going to be focusing on nominalism specifically in metaphysics. Now, there are two kinds of metaphysical nominalism. You may have heard of nominalism before, but it may be referring to one of two different things. The first deals with the difference between universals and particulars and your beliefs about those, and the second deals with the difference between concrete objects and abstract objects and your positions on the existence of those. These two positions are independent, so your position about universals doesn't need to affect your position about abstract objects, or vice versa. You can hold both the positions, neither of the positions, or one position and not the other. Now, first off, what is a universal? There are a lot of different definitions of a universal depending on who you ask. But generally, to give you kind of a sense of it, a universal is considered to be something which can be instantiated in a variety of things. Usually those things that the universal is instantiated in are considered particulars. Simply put, a universal is like a property, though that probably oversimplifies it. Squareness or blueness might be examples of universals. A sky or an ocean can instantiate the universal blueness, but that doesn't mean that they are the same as the universal blueness. The universal is something separate from its instantiations. And a piece of paper or a box can instantiate squareness. As I said, though, our exact definition of what a universal is going to vary depending on who you ask. But this should give you a general sense of it. Now, abstract objects are kind of similar, but importantly different. So they are similarly difficult to define. However, they're generally considered to be objects that do not exist in space or time and cannot have any causal effect on space-time. Some people might claim that a perfect form of triangle, think Plato, that all triangles are actually just imperfect forms of some form of triangle that doesn't exist in space-time but exists in some important way. Or maybe a language, not just the words of the language, but the language itself is an abstract object. They don't exist in space-time, and they don't have any causal effect on space-time. Now, nominalism is going to be the denial that one or both of these things exist. You can be a nominalist about universals. That means that you think that universals do not exist. There is nothing that can be instantiated by multiple entities. Nominalists about universals are also committed to claiming that everything is therefore particular, only existing or instantiated once, in the particular. For a nominalist about universals, there is no such thing as blueness, which can be instantiated by different blue objects. But the nominalist about universals is fine with a particular blue rock that only exists in one place. This is contrasted with realism about universals, or a realist about universals, who claims that there are universals, like redness. Those things actually exist. Note that these positions will look different depending on how you define universals. If you're a nominalist about abstract objects, on the other hand, that means that you do not think there are any objects which do not exist in space-time and are causally inert. You do not think that there are any objects that are outside of space-time and are causally ineffective in our world. However, you are committed to the existence of concrete objects, objects that are spatial, temporal, or do interact in some way with our world. Nominalists about abstract objects do not think that language or the perfect form of circle exists in some way beyond just calling a group of objects or a group of words a language. But a nominalist might think that a dictionary, for example, would exist, or the words that we use that constitute a language, or that we call a language exist, but some separate thing that is a language doesn't exist, or that a round tire exists. Nominalism about abstract objects is usually contrasted with Platonism, which claims abstract objects do exist. As before, these positions will differ depending on how you define abstract and concrete objects. For an example, mathematical nominalism is a version of nominalism about abstract objects. It basically states that the abstract objects of mathematics do not exist, or at least mathematics is only talking about concrete objects. Remember that how exactly these positions are formed will depend on how exactly we define abstract and universal. Are you a nominalist? How do you define abstract and universal? Offer your thoughts in the comments below. And watch this video and more here at Carneades.org. Stay skeptical, everybody.